Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/entitled people, where we have wonderful stories of fantastic specimens of humanity, such as an entitled person who wants someone to leave a place because they happen to look like Santa. If you enjoy, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below with your stories or thoughts on the stories. And let's get started, shall we? Grandma Karen decides to unhook an autistic child's harness. This happened several years ago. I was a photographer for a major theme park and have dealt with my fair share of entitled Karens. But there's only been one time I've had to call security because of a Karen. I was working with a character one afternoon, and one of the families that stopped by to pay a visit was this family of three with mom, dad, and a 5-year-old boy that I'll name Malcolm. Malcolm is strapped to a harness attached to mom's waist. Think those jogging harnesses for blind runners, to keep him close to mom and dad. Before the session, Dad pulled the character attendant and me aside and alerted us that Malcolm was a nonverbal autistic and camera flashes were overstimulating to him. Now, this was a pretty common request, so I adjusted my settings so I wouldn't have to use the flash and thanked him for alerting me. It's Malcolm's turn, and he was such a sweetheart. He just wanted to show off the book full of pictures of his favorite dinosaurs, and we got all sad when he had to leave. A few hours later, I was in an area we refer to as backstage, where guests aren't allowed, heading to my break. Imagine my surprise when all of a sudden I get body slammed by Malcolm. For the record, I'm almost 6 feet tall and 250 pounds, and he nearly managed to knock me over. He's screaming and crying. Fortunately, my manager Oscar was nearby, so I flagged him down and we immediately called security. We get Malcolm to a cool, air-conditioned place, as it's pretty hot out, and I looked up pictures of dinosaurs on my phone to show Malcolm. Eventually he calmed down, and he essentially became my little buddy. About 10 minutes later, Malcolm is reunited with the tearful mom and dad, and it's there we got the full story. Enter Karen. Mom, Dad, and Malcolm were getting ice cream when Karen approached. The conversation went as follows.
Why is he harnessed?
Oh, he's autistic and will bolt if he's not harnessed.
No, he's not.
Excuse me?
You're just a bad parent. My grandson knows better than to stray from me, and he's about the same age.
I'm sorry, but he's incapable of understanding that. It's safer for everyone if he's harnessed. It's at this point that Dad comes back with ice cream and Mom turns her attention away to help him. The next thing she knows, the harness goes slack. When she looked up, Malcolm and Karen are gone. It's so packed that day that it's easy to lose track of someone, especially if it's a running child. An important thing to note is that the park has cameras everywhere, so it was easy to get a video of the incident and get a description of the Karen. Security was alerted, and Karen tracked down. She was belligerent and tried to slap the security guard who stopped her, stupidly doing it in front of an OC sheriff. So she got a lovely court date for assault as a result. Malcolm and his family were given an extra day added to their tickets as an apology for what happened, but they just had one request. They asked to know where I would be the next day so I could take their pictures. The next day, I gave them a full-on photo shoot, and yes, it was the best day for my entire career. That's pretty sweet, actually, aside from the Karen. Karen aside, that's such a sweet story. I love it. My brother Joey is nonverbal autistic, so it's nice to see people work so well with them. Personally, I don't deal with it well, but I do my best. Anyway, on to the next story. Entitled person wants me to leave because I look like Santa. So I'm homeless. No, I don't drink. No, I don't do drugs. I am trying to get a job, but finding employment when homeless is not an easy task. Every few days, I take a trip to the library to charge my phone and battery so I can keep my phone on and working. I typically spend 3 to 4 hours in a quiet corner of the library glued to the power outlet charging. Today I had a cute, then frustrating interaction between a little kid and its parent. I walked through the sliding doors of the library and wandered around looking for an open chair near an outlet to sit and charge. I heard this little voice shout out in excitement and glee, "Santa!" and pitter-patters of little boots running over to me. Now, I get it, I really do. A big bearded man dressed in red with a big black bags and oversized backpack strapped over his shoulders. Any little kid would easily mistake me for the big jolly man. The kid stopped dead right in front of me. She was clenching her fists tight, trembling in excitement. She couldn't have been more than 4 years old. She looked up at me, her eyes opened wide, and uttered the words, "Hi, Santa!" That made me smile, and I laughed. Her mother came running over, scooped her child up and said sorry to me, walked away and told her kid that's not Santa. The entire interaction put a smile on my face, but here's where it went downhill. I found an open seat and plugged in to charge and do my thing. The little kid and her parents were on the other side of the library. The kid was still brimming with excitement, but I could see her head poke out over the bookshelf, staring at me every so often. This went on for about half an hour, until I guess the mother couldn't handle her child anymore, so she came over to me. She asked me to leave and find a different spot because I'm distracting her daughter. I said, "Hey, I'm sorry, but this is the only open space with an outlet. I need to charge my stuff." She very sarcastically said,
Oh, and why's that?
I replied, "Because I don't have one. I am homeless." I thought that was the end of it because her face went red and she walked away. But no, she came back. She went up to the front desk to ask if there were any outlets outside and if it's okay for me to use them. Seriously, she said that the library is okay with me using the outlet outside to charge, so I can go there. I asked her, "So you don't want me in the library, a public institution, to charge? You would rather me sit outside in the cold because your kid thinks I'm Santa? Really, that's it?" I looked at her and said, "Well, ho, 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 Merry Christmas to you. I'm gonna stay right here until my batteries are charged." The lady went to the front desk, and I listened in because I figured I'm screwed. I'm getting kicked out. She asked them to tell me to leave. They said they can't unless I'm intentionally making a disturbance, being violent or threatening. I have been here before, I keep to myself and don't bother anyone. So yeah, I was there for 4 hours. I didn't move or get kicked out. My things are charged and good for the next few days. Honestly, not the worst interaction I ever experienced. At least she was somewhat polite. Oh, that's just disgusting story. How can people be so heartless? Anyway, on to the next story. My grandma, who raised me, offered to help me buy a house, and stepbrother's girlfriend is upset by it. So my grandma raised me since I was 2 years old, because I got taken away from my parents. I never knew my mother, so I call her Mom. She didn't really help me a lot as an adult unless I was really desperate. She's a lot older now. I kind of think she wants to make it right with me before it's her time. So my dad, my grandma's son, ended up having a lot of other kids with his girlfriend they didn't take good care of. My dad was a drug addict, so a lot of those kids followed him and became drug addicts or criminals themselves. His girlfriend had 4 kids before she hooked up with my dad. Anyway, my stepbrother, we'll call him Nick, had been in and out of jail almost his whole life. He met this girl, and she seems like a good girl. We'll call her Kim. Kim is keeping Nick out of trouble. I thought I was bonding a friendship with Kim, and gave Nick a second chance. Me and my husband had them out to our house, fed them dinner. My grandma invited them to Christmas. She cooked dinner and always treated Kim good, even when Nick was in jail. I even came to her apartment 45 minutes away on my only day off of work to help her clean her apartment when she had surgery. It was bad, too. It took 12 bags of garbage out of her apartment and was there cleaning for like 5 hours for free just to help her. So Nick finally made it out of jail before Christmas. I listened to Kim vent about him in jail many times. I felt bad for her because I thought she had no one else. Fast forward, I'm currently trying to get a mortgage to get a house of my own and stop renting. I told my grandma I didn't know if I could get it because I didn't have enough for a down payment. She told me she would help me. I told her thank you, but I would feel bad taking it from her. Of course, I'll be paying her back at tax time, so I'll probably only need it for a month or two. Thinking Kim was my friend, I ended up telling her that my grandma said she would help me. She got all mad about it and said that she wouldn't help them with money for a car. They just got approved for a car and they want to help her to help with the second car for him so we can work. I didn't know they asked her for money. I never had a criminal record or went to jail. I had full intentions of paying my grandma back in a couple of months. I have 2 kids, her grandchildren, who she loves very much. Plus, she is not like my mom. I think Kim is actually acting really entitled. Nick doesn't even have a job yet either. I'm thinking of keeping my distance from her at this point. I honestly don't care that much about the friendship, but I'm kind of hurt she would be mad about my grandma helping me out. She has only been with Nick a couple of years, just needed a vent. Grandma is being very wise not to loan money to someone with no job. I'm gonna be honest about it. On to the next story.
You're not a veteran, you're a woman.
Due to popular demand, I've asked my friend Belle, a retired army officer, for more dependopotamus stories, and she delivered this lovely gem. This took place several months after she retired, but she was still living in the town where she was last posted. She went to a local store to get some last-minute things for a party she and her husband were hosting. Belle has veteran plates on her car, and at this particular store there's a parking space designated for veterans. So Belle parks in the spot when here comes Dependopotamus, aka Karen. The exchange went roughly as follows.
What are you doing here, wearing your husband's rank?
Excuse me?
You're not a veteran, you're a woman. Move or I will have you towed.
No.
Get back here.
Karen reached out to grab her, but Belle moved out of the way and went inside, thinking that would be the end of it, and pitying the poor person this woman was married to. Alas, it was only just the beginning. When Belle got home, Adam asked her if she'd seen Facebook Belle and said, nope, why? Adam then showed her. Our Dependopotamus had stalked Belle through the store, took several pictures of her, and posted this particular area about how Belle wore her husband's rank, and took the place away from a deserving veteran, and
my husband and I have to put up with this crap,
among with many other colorful things. Belle just shook her head, rolled her eyes, and went back to prepping the party. That night, people started arriving. One of the people invited was a major that Belle had mentored during her last posting and had a good relationship with. He arrived, exchanged the usual pleasantries, and then said, let me introduce you to my wife, Karen. Karen, this is Belle Smith, my former general. According to Belle, the look on Karen's face when she saw Belle, the look was priceless. If you enjoyed today's video, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment with your stories or thoughts on the stories down below, and hit that subscribe button. Now, without further ado, I will see you all next time. Hasta la pasta.